In the kingdom of Israel, under King David, there was a man whose mind was sharper than swords, and whose words could decide the fate of kings. His name was Ahithophel. But Ahithophel was not a king. He was not a warrior. He was something more dangerous in that world. He was a counselor, the man who gave advice to the king himself. In ancient Israel, this role was not small. A counselor was trusted like a shadow beside the throne. If the king listened to you, you could move armies without lifting a weapon. That was Ahithophel. And the Bible says his wisdom was so accurate, it was as if a man was hearing the voice of God. But behind this wisdom, there was something people did not see. Ahithophel was not only a thinker, he was a man deeply connected to the royal family. Many believe that Bathsheba, the woman who would later be involved in King David's greatest moral failure, was connected to Ahithophel's own family line, which means this story is not just political, it is personal. And in ancient kingdoms, personal pain always becomes political danger. At this time, the kingdom was strong, but even strong kingdoms collapse from hidden decisions. King David, the king chosen by God, saw Bathsheba from his rooftop. And in that moment, a decision was made that would silently break many lives. To cover his sin, David sent Bathsheba's husband, Uriah the Hittite, to the front of battle. But it was not a normal battle plan. It was abandonment disguised as war strategy. Uriah was left alone, and he died, not because he was weak, but because he was betrayed. When Ahithophel heard about Uriah's death, he did not react like other men. Because Ahithophel is not a simple character in this story. He is the kind of man who does not forget information. He stores it, he analyzes it, he connects it, and he remembers it forever. So while the kingdom moved on, Ahithophel did something more dangerous. He started thinking, not about revenge yet, but about injustice. And in ancient Israel, unresolved injustice never stays private. Years passed. On the outside, everything was normal. Ahithophel still served King David, still gave perfect advice, still guided the kingdom. But something had changed inside him, because in ancient times, there was no system for emotional healing, no therapy, no confession system for political betrayal, no place to process pain safely. So Ahithophel did what most powerful men do. He buried it. And what is buried alive does not die. It grows. Then came Absalom, the king's own son, a man of charm, ambition, and emotional intelligence, but also a man who understood something important. That pain can be used as power. Absalom began to turn the people against David, and when he looked for allies, he found Ahithophel, because Ahithophel was no longer just a counselor. He had become a man whose loyalty was already broken inside. This is where the story becomes dangerous, because betrayal does not begin with action, it begins with agreement. Ahithophel did not join Absalom because he was greedy. He joined because, in his mind, justice had never been served, and when justice is delayed too long, people begin to create their own version of it. Now the most dangerous mind in the kingdom was advising the rebellion. This was not emotional speaking. This was strategic perfection. Because Ahithophel still had the mind of a royal counselor, but now his wisdom was being guided by unresolved pain. But something unexpected happened. Another counselor entered the story, and Absalom chose his advice instead. And in that moment, Ahithophel realized something final. He was no longer influencing history. Ahithophel was not just a traitor. He was not just a strategist. He was a man shaped by a world where pain was never healed, Injustice was never addressed, and silence replaced emotional recovery. So he became what many powerful wounded people become, a man whose mind stayed sharp, but whose heart never recovered. And that is the true tragedy of Ahithophel. Not that he was wise, but that he never healed. When pain is not processed, wisdom becomes destruction.